When we build a project, for instance, we have to build an API for a client or for the company we work for, we need a proxy API. Always think first. The same way, if we are a AI first engineer and we would directly jump in Cloud Code or in Codex or in Copilot, Cursor, whatsoever, think exactly what do we expect. Do we want a RESTful API? Do we want a GraphQL API? Do we want a different kind of API? Usually RESTful is always the go-to, but GraphQL could be also a really good and appropriate option depending on our needs. If we want something very easy to set up for a very small proof of concept, probably RESTful API is probably the go-to. We can always ask to a specific custom ChatGPT or ChatCloud, like those kind of questions, but thinking first, like if we don't mention that in our prompt, usually AI would build us most of the time a RESTful API, but we should always think first, like planning is super important. Then the database. Do we want to go with a non-relational database, like MongoDB, for instance, and NoSQL, or like Postgres? Postgres might be the one by default, but maybe we want MySQL instead. Maybe we want a different relational database than MySQL or Postgres. And thinking exactly how it will be done, like if we use Postgres, what would be, how we would design the database, what kind of columns, what kind of, tables, and also the name of the tables, like what would be the best and most appropriate convention there. And once we design our database, it's very hard also to redesign after the database. It would be kind of too late and it would be very time consuming. Migrating a database to different tables is never something fun, especially if the tables are huge with a lot of data. Then we also need to think about security and how the API, the specific API we are building, will be integrated with. Also, the programming language, we have to think about okay, I'm prompting an API. I need to be specific, but also have to think, what do I expect from the AI, from Copilot, from Cursor? Do I need an API in Golang? Do I need an API in PHP, or maybe to be in Node.js? Maybe I just want to use Fast API in Python. What do we need? If I use TypeScript, maybe I want to go to Nest.js. Nest.js is amazing, but again, like maybe I want something else. Nest.js is really good, so I can use also Open API, Swagger. I can use Nest.js is amazing because it does have a package built in where we can directly document our API and then we can generate the Swagger documentation. But thinking about all of this to have an excellent product for us, for our users, is super important. When we think about like how it will be designed, like the time before to start building something will be so worth it. Then you will save so much time after building it because you will already make the appropriate choice. If you keep changing things, it will be hard to have something consistent and working, because if we change our minds during the development, we might make mistakes. It's the same with the dependency manager. Which one do we want to use? PNPM? Do we want to use NPM, the one usually by default? Do we want to use Yarn? If we have a team already building a React native application and they use Yarn, Yarnberry, for instance. So Yarnberry is like now the latest version is 4.12. As of today, which is December 1st, it's Yarnberry 4.12. But maybe our React Native team are using the Yarn Classic, which is Yarn 1 point something, I forgot. And we probably want to use the same package manager. Maybe if the React Native team might also be using the API or developing the API and vice versa. If the backend team want to also use and run the React Native application, we don't want to have conflicts between the package manager version. So everybody should use either Yarn, the same version, either NPM, the same version as well, same for Node.js, same version. And that's something always to take into account. Otherwise, we have to move to different versions. Can be a little bit painful. I was using Volta before. Volta is really good to change the version. It's a Node version manager. Volta, Node version manager. I wrote an article a few years ago about it. It's written in Rust and it's super fast. But all of those specifications need to always be planned. And once you plan them, everything will be so much easier. So wish you a beautiful, happy product building day. Be also user focused. Think about how to build an amazing product. And if you are super obsessed about the product, about how I can build a better, excellent product, you will see after everything else will be so much easier.